this is Al McGhee with YETicket.com. I'm here with the lovely and beautiful Khalilah Ali, and we're going to talk about this documentary called Blood Brothers, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Khalilah, great to see you again.
Always good to see you, Al. You're the greatest. Your entertainment ticket is the awesome show of the year. Thank you so much for hanging in there. You're rolling on in there. Thank you
yeah,
so
trying
much.
to.
Yeah. So
Now,
yeah, I enjoyed I enjoyed it to a certain point.
what point was that? What do you mean?
The point is, they made it look like Ali hated him at the end, and he didn't. He always stayed real close to him, no matter what. It's just that during the regime of the Nation of Islam, we were not allowed to communicate with people that wasn't in good standing. That don't mean that they hated each other. So
right.
So it was known that Ali did talk to him by phone without anybody knowing it, to keep up his spirits.
Okay. And also your parents were very big with the nation and also with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you would have heard a lot that went on. I'm sure they talked to you about it. Can you tell us a little bit about that at that time?
Well, they did not contact me whatsoever. I don't think they realized that I was in the house of Elijah Muhammad when Malcolm and his wife would come there. And I actually looked over them like a bodyguard, making sure they were comfortable in the home, having tea and coffee. And I was like only 12 years old, 11 and 12 years old, serving at the house. I was a big girl, though. I was pretty big for 11 and 12. And that's what we did. We served in his house because I grew up with his grandchildren. And Malcolm was just a very, very, very happy, wholesome guy. When he laughed, we laughed because he was just so happy and energetic and healthy, and he smiled all the time. He was most happy being in the house of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his wife Betty. She was just wonderful and graceful as ever. And I was just thankful to have met them. And even after Malcolm's demise, I kept in contact with Betty Shabazz. We used to talk together as sisters on the phone every Wednesday. Every Wednesday evening when she was the teacher at the university in New York City.
Oh, wow, that's great. Now, also, one of your daughters, Miriam, she's also in the documentary, and at the time she was not alive when all this was going down, but she did learn a lot about her father and Malcolm X. Can you tell us about that?
Because the two girls that was in there, they are the children of two icons.
Yeah.
And even though they weren't, she wasn't there, the fact that they've learned about their father, they learned about their father's issues, they know their father, and they agree with their father in a lot of ways. So it was totally appropriate to see the next generation of Ali's and Shabazz's, the next generation voicing their opinion, which was great. I think the Hana Ali was inappropriate, even though she's Ali's daughter, but she wasn't even born during that era. She wasn't even a spec yet. So I think that was a little inappropriate for her to be there. But Miriam and the other daughter was appropriate to be in there.
Malcolm X's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
She was in there too. But also, many people, the documentary did try to tell us about the teachings that Muhammad Ali was learning and that he also talked about on the public forum. And many people forgot that, he was talking about the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
And can you tell us about that period?
So that period, he was on the platform every time Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a convention. Muhammad Ali was there, and Muhammad Ali was an active Muslim at the time. And the thing of it is, whatever the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had in place under the regime of the Nation of Islam, we had to abide by it.
Right.
Even though it was just his way of trying to, the law is that if you're in bad standings in the Nation of Islam, you're not supposed to communicate with any Muslims or anybody in good standing. And this is it's like it's a small light punishment that keeps us intact in good standings by following rules. That was just
and he had those rules.
That was a disciplinary rules, you know.
Yeah, and he had those rules because the background of many of the followers or who joined, you know, they really didn't have a lot of discipline when they were growing up, even when they were young men.
Exactly. The Black people at that time, you're talking about people that came up under the slave mentality.
Right.
Elijah Muhammad, what his philosophy was to get Black people out of the slave mentality, to put rules and regulations of discipline that let them learn discipline. And the heart of our Black people that were under the slave mentality rules is unacceptable under the Elijah Muhammad's regime. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, like for example, even Malcolm Little, who later became Malcolm X, he was in jail when he learned about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and because he did drugs, he was a pimp and things like that, and a thief. He did all those things.
He did what was necessary for that time for a Black man to survive. And
exactly.
Yeah, and this by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad coming in the surface, he was the only one that actually can reform a man and change him without going to a rehab center. He was the reform, he was the rehab, and our rehab is grown to the way of life. It gives you the power of God. When you have the power of God, you don't go back. Your rehab is permanent. So back in those days, anybody that's a heroin addict or anything like that, you either stop, and since they didn't actually stop and didn't have a rehab, they died. They die. Everybody's a heroin addict, you eventually just die. You had no
from overdosing, things like that.
From overdosing, it was inevitable. But the life of a Muslim's life is to clean you up and put God in your life where you will fear God and you won't fear the heroin. And it works. That actually works. Even the rehab today of people on heroin, they say you'll always be a drug addict. You will always be an alcoholic. That is not true. You can come out from under that and never go back. If you're Muslim, because it puts fear of God in you and it take out the heroin and place it with God's love and God's fear, you ain't going back. You're not going back to that drug. It's not going to happen. And that's the way it is today. It takes your foundation of a spiritual foundation to get you out from under anything, but you have to be a believer to do it.
And then also at the time when Muhammad Ali joined the Nation of Islam, he didn't know all that, but he was taught all of those rules. He was taught all of those lessons by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But before that, though, Malcolm X was also teaching him that, right?
Absolutely. Malcolm X was chosen by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which I think was the best thing that ever happened, because by him coming up in the ghetto, by him coming up in New York by him being a con man and a dope dealer and all this kind of stuff. He had the knowledge of how to speak to our people in the streets. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad admired him for that. This is why he made him a minister, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad admired him for that. And Elijah Muhammad, even though he put him out, he still admired him for his speaking and everything. It's just that when Malcolm got in there, Malcolm ended up finding the true Islam, and that served the problem. That posed a problem for Elijah Muhammad. Even under Elijah Muhammad's son found true Islam. But the thing of it is, the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad opened that door to Islam,
right,
at the beginning, was a plus.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
He had his own philosophy to teach and bring us up, to teach us and train us. It was all good at that time, but when we found out the true Islam, it even made it better. Elijah Muhammad did not deviate from that, but he taught us how to pray. He told us the right words of prayer. He told us the fear of God and the essential things that we learned. A lot of people in Saudi Arabia haven't even learned. They got a problem.
Right.
You
now,
know?
did Muhammad Ali ever talk to you about his death to you? Did he make any statements about that to you when you became his wife?
Oh, definitely. When we became husband and wife, we talked about Malcolm a lot. And he said, I said, even though Malcolm was in the right, he was in the right to speak for the true Islam, and he was kind of disappointed finding out something different. Like I said, it was time. He just knew about it before we knew about it. And then Elijah Muhammad's son was even kicked out because he knew about it. He had went to Mecca and found out about it. It's not the fact that he didn't want you to know about it. The Elijah Muhammad is not the fact that he said we wasn't ready for it. We had to take we're over here and going under slavery. The people in the Middle East didn't go under that kind of slavery mentality.
Right.
And language was never taken from them, you know, and they never had to fall under the white man's regime, the white man's way of life as a Christian. We didn't have to go through I saw people from Saudi Arabia didn't have to go through that. But what the people in Saudi Arabia have to go through is discipline, the way the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us.
Yeah, that's good. And you still follow the Muslim religion and Muslim life?
Yeah, my whole family, we followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when it was time, and when the Honorable Warith Deen Muhammad came to teach us the true Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us his blessings. Listen to my son. He will teach you the true Islam. My time is over. And we followed through with the true Islam under Warith Deen Muhammad, and it was the best thing. And it was so enlightening because I had a problem with the race card. I had a problem with that.
Right.
I couldn't understand it. And I asked my mom, I says, why is he saying the white man's the devil? I know he's the devil, but you know, we got family that are white. And she said, you know what? It's just like when you can't find nothing in your pants or anything like that, you throw them in a wash machine and it falls out in the wash machine. So whatever happens, everything comes out in the wash. That's what she said. Just give it time, because truth will prevail. My mother said, just be patient, because all that Elijah Muhammad did, he did us a good thing, not a bad thing. He taught us a good thing.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
But when they came to his own personal thing with the women and all of that, and why, you know, that was a little a bit strong too. And that was not something my mother raised us to be, having 2 and 3 women and everything. So everything actually came out on time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Even though Malcolm got a hint of it,
but he went out into the public and told.
Yeah, but Malcolm X was a true Muslim. I have to
Yep.
tell you, he turned out to be a true Muslim. And he died a true Muslim. And may Allah bless him into a land of paradise because he was a true Muslim in the end.
Well, Khalilah, I want to thank you very much. I know we can talk about this on and on, but I just wanted to get your take on that documentary, Blood Brothers, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali,
Well,
because
Ali,
you
Muhammad
lived a
Ali
lot of it.
Yeah, a lot. Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X were brothers. They always will be brothers. Now that Muhammad Ali had turned into the true Islam phase, and you know, I'm sure Muhammad Ali and Malcolm are together again in Jannah and in paradise together, and they're looking down on us now, going, "Are these people nuts or what?" I feel that these two men are together in heaven, and I believe they're just having the time of their lives right now. And I'm so glad that they're together. In the end, it's in the wash. It's all good now. It's all good.
Oh, well, you are good too, and I appreciate you. And thank you very much. Okay.
I'm sorry, and thank you very much. And I want to shout out and say to the family of Malcolm X, Malcolm El Hajj, Malik Shabazz. We give all praise to you, and we are keeping our prayers for your family to be safe and strong in the guidance of Allah. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is your entertainment ticket, latest and greatest.